It is, well, this is clearly Trekland HQ. I see Plushy McCoy back there. Boom. And we are live. Break time. And what have we learned, Star Trek? Here it is, episode 219 of Trekland Tuesdays Live with me, Dr. Trek, Larry Nemechek, coming at you right here from the heart of Trekland through Portal 47 and Trekland Treks, giving you, offering you, sharing some sanity, clarity, and the big picture in all things Star Trek. Hopefully, everybody's still intact here. Good Tuesdays to everybody. If you are one of our veterans, welcome back. Thank you much. And if you are here at the first time, if you are joining us live on Tuesdays Live for the first time, welcome. We've got a great community. You can join in the chat over here. Do I still look a little pooped? I'm telling you, gang, if you are new to the show, jump in over here at the chat. We've got folks from all over the world. That's why I do it at this time. We've got Europeans, we've got North Americans and South Americans sometimes, and folks from the Pacific side of things too. Glad to have you all with us. This week, I just feel like taking a breath. You know, if you listen to Second Opinion, and why not? I always say that we let just a couple of days go by instead of being the first in. You know, you barely had time to wake up and there's already 42 different people trying to review a new episode. Let's just take a breather for a couple of days. That's the idea of Second Opinion. Hope you check it out on the YouTube channel. Today, I feel like doing that with the summer. I mean, it's been a week now, nearly a week since we had the finale for Strange New Worlds. By my calculations, we've got a whole 3 weeks, 4 Thursdays before Lower Decks begins. And it begins with a doubleheader. They're going to show two for the price of one on Thursday, September 7th. So here we've got 3 weeks of actual hiatus time. And I think it couldn't have come at a better time. Number one, we ran through those episodes of Strange New Worlds so much that there's a little reflecting that needs to happen, I believe. And I've already been doing some, and I've been sharing it around. I may bring some of it back today. You can tell my voice. I am still recovering. Let's see. 3 cons, a 10-day trip, a 5-day road trip, and co-hosting a big event at Will Rogers, all in the last 7 weeks. This has been a summer almost like no other. And then all the Star Trek stuff. The Star Trek stuff that I share with everybody, that we all share together. So yes, it's been the most active time here for us putting content out. So another nod here to the guys, to Scott and Kyle, for helping with all the video content. So please like and subscribe on the YouTube. But I just thought, without something obvious in our face, and you never know, Wednesday, I mean, there's headlines every day these days, and some of them are actually about Star Trek. No, I've wondered for people to keep reacting. You know, the react show to show, week to week, in the moment. That's one thing. And that happens every week. But Strange New Worlds has been, we praise how Strange New has been all over the map with formats this year. We've had comedies, we've had dramas, we've had courtroom dramas, we've had straight up planetary adventures. We've had Klingon face-offs. We've had a musical. We've had 2 historic formats this year: the musical and the overlap with animation. And it wasn't just bringing the animated characters to 3D real life; it was actually mixing animation from the Lower Deck side of things in with the live action. No Mary Poppins, no Roger Rabbit, but either side of that line, it's been kind of amazing. And I have a feeling that maybe we need maybe a little more than a few days to reflect on it all. So that's what I thought today would be. Look, what have we learned? Where are we now that we weren't when Strange New debuted? And again, everybody jump in the chat here. Now, look, I'm going to run down this topic, be a little bit of a loosier, goosier day today. So not quite as strict a topic. We will take our little mini break. We'll look at the parrot analytics very quickly, especially the parrots as they've sold out their weekly ratings over to TV Geek's website. And then we'll come back and dive full bore into this chat. So, again, everybody, apologies for my throat. I continue to be a little croaky. Am I in distress here? You can almost not see the portal pin there. There we go. Yes. I just thought that there's no one big story going on, but it feels like there's a lot of little threads happening. There's a lot of little murmurs and chats I see on some of the open boards. Maybe we can get into it here when we get into the chat as well. But yes, we've got 3 weeks until Lower Decks. Is it just me, or has there been a very low-key Lower Decks profile? I mean, I'm sure it will all crank up now. Some of this is about the strike going on, and let's talk about that. There were some little bits of headlines the last few days. Friday, there was an announcement that the producers, AMPTP, had reached out to the writers about coming back to the table to talk. They've given them some proposals. They've been put out in the press. WGA has shared some of that. It's like meeting them part way on residuals. It's some statements, items about the writer's room, about basically young writer abuse, about blowing up the whole writer mentoring system, most of all about a little bit about raising rates on residuals on streaming. I don't know if they've talked about actually tracking the residuals on streaming system. It's great to be paid more for something that you don't know that you're being accurately paid for in the first place. So we will see. They were supposed to go back in today. The Writers Guild was going to give their response to what they were given. Part of that might be to point out what they didn't respond to at all. So I don't think we're going to have I don't think I'm going to be interrupted here by headlines about the strike being over. And of course, none of this applies to the actors' side of things. As much as they are walking in lockstep and in solidarity, they do have separate issues, and they'll be solved in different ways. So it's not like a lockstep thing. So we're hopeful a little bit that maybe at least some gears are turning. It has been 100 days. So it's been over 3 months. They marked the 100 days last week. We were barely home from Vegas when the 100-day, everybody was putting out their 100-day posts from the line. So we're still watching that. We'll see what comes of that. But meanwhile, I've not seen much promotion for Lower Decks, and I'm guessing that will crank up in earnest. The other thing at this time of year, though, after Vegas and before whatever's happening in the fall, is Star Trek Day, which has become a big marketing piece with the return of, I'll never forget, I'd never heard the term Star Trek Day until they were promoting the first season of Discovery premiering in September, and all of a sudden, all the initial cast of Discovery was making a little framed Instagram square. Happy Star Trek Day, happy Star Trek Day, happy Star Trek. The entire 15 people in the cast, both ships' crews of all species, in and out of their makeup. We'd always said happy anniversary day. Oh, happy anniversary Star Trek. We had said it as kind of like a sidebar greeting, but I think it was marketing for Paramount, for CBS All Access, that first started making Star Trek Day a phrase. The In the Know kids have been doing that for 20 years, but not quite as hallmarky, if you get my drift. It was kind of the underground, subversive. The cool kids know about this. And yeah, May the 4th be with you was a big thing earlier because, Star Wars is a big thing and they sell more toys. But Star Trek Day is coming. Now, whether they're going to mark it on Friday the 8th, which is the actual day, or they will do it something in tandem with the 7th, which is a Thursday, not the 8th, the historical calendar day, the first day Star Trek premiered in the US. And yes, I know it was technically in Canada 2 days earlier. I know. Or whether they will move Star Trek Day to the Thursday to overlap with Strange New Worlds premiere. I don't know. It seems weird that they didn't have Star Trek Day clear of Lower Decks so they could have some pronouncements. Maybe they want the shows to premiere so they can talk about Lower Decks, at least in one aspect. They'll probably have some programming, some panels, some things, some elements that pertain to all the current shows, which includes Discovery, which has been bumped back next year. It's canceled, but on a throne. Actually, I feel like it's been retrenched. I feel like what are the other things that have happened because of the retrenchment in the industry? Couple that with the strikes delays. So we may have some news coming out of Star Trek Day. That's something we know, but that's the landscape right now. We know that after Lower Decks runs, there will be no Prodigy, at least on Paramount Plus, which was going to take us to the end of the year, feeling like we had Star Trek all year long on P Plus, the home of Star Trek, not. So we'll see what maybe by then we'll even have a deal to put Prodigy on a new home. Who knows? Hashtag save Star Trek Prodigy. They're talking. I think Aaron was talking about the final 10, all the way to number 20, episode 220, being wrapped up by early next year. So that was a factor. And when exactly will Discovery have its final hoorah? In the spring, sometime late winter, early spring. We'll find out about that too. Then we really will have a long drought until the Section 21 movie, 31 movie can be put up. And Academy, Starfleet Academy, won't be out until 2025 in any case, which was always the plan, apparently. If you watch my video with the writers on Star Trek Day, that was a nugget that was dropped, that it was never going to be sooner than 2025. It may just be later in 2025. And of course, what of Legacy? That's in the mix as well. Depends on what happens with the strike, what the final terms are, what the ground looks like around Paramount Plus and all the streamers by then, what this big Showtime merger, which was also part of the factor. So we don't know a lot. We may know a lot more in 2 or 3 weeks. We'll see about that. We don't know any more about the strike or the shows. But what do we know? What do we know about Strange New? Look, gang, I've been talking about this for a few weeks now. And aside from the individual episodes, what do we know? Well, after a year and a half of wondering and worrying and curious, we know that Strange New Worlds, Star Trek can pull off an animated live action crossover. We know it can be done. Same way we know that Star Trek can pull off a vaunted musical episode, take that Buffy. But we also know that some people are just never going to enjoy a musical, and that's fine. We know that some people who enjoy musicals, and I have a very good friend who was disappointed that the show didn't go musical enough in its direction in cinematography, that it was so grounded in reality as an alien effect that it didn't utilize the musical capacity. I still think, as I said on Second Opinion and a couple of shows since then, I still think that for most of fandom, having the musicality not just pop in out of nowhere, but having it actually be a technobabble MacGuffin of the week, and having everybody bop in and out of the musicality, having the musicality like a fever, having the musicality be just another form of an alien takeover. This was a non-sentient alien, but still. Having it be another form of basically another Naked Time, Naked Now, or Power Play, what have you. Anytime you've got an alien takeover of our bodies or loss of control of personalities and body autonomy of our regular characters, that's basically what this was, with a little bit of fear wrapped up into it too. And then you throw in the Borg Picard-like threat of spreading to the whole fleet and our enemies and adversaries and allies, just being out of control seemed to kind of hit the nail on the head for me. So the fact that you can do that and have it be music is the bit. And then you do work in the musical trope. So I said all this on my Second Opinion two back for the musical, for Subspace Rhapsody. But bottom line is, yes, they can do it and write it. And if you sing it, they will come. Most people. The folks who just don't appreciate musicals at all, but they still love their Trek. Some of them were very patient. And some of them not. Same way that a lot of people don't like horror. And Star Trek, Strange New Worlds has certainly leaned into the horror with the Gorn. A lot of people those weren't their favorite episodes last year. Memento Mori and All Those Who Wander. But we are fleshing out the Gorn. Controversy about that. What do we know now? We know a lot more about the Gorn. And in my way of thinking, okay, in my head canon, in my canon in a vacuum, we've been shook up about the Gorn just because we didn't know anything about them for 50 years. So now we're getting an awful lot about them. And I was kind of tickled to, I've seen a couple of interviews. One of them being the legacy, Alan Scott just did an interview, I believe it was with Trek Movie, basically reaffirming, and Henry Alonzo Myers, and I can't wait to have some conversations with them myself. But it looks like what some of us who are putting some thought, the canon smoothers and gap fillers of the last 10, 20, 30, 40 years, looking at this situation, we totally found a way to go. Where, yeah, your Arena Gorn was a captain, he's an elder. What we're seeing here to fulfill the horror aspect are really scary, really spastic, really alien-esque critters, but they're all hatchlings and younglings. I love these terms. We finally saw an adult who is obviously not spastic. For one thing, he can put on a spacesuit and do fight and hold tools, which we would expect of a warp-faring species. So look, we've learned a lot. I've also learned the fact that these weren't rushed into. The ones that provided the horror aspect, the face hugger type, the ones from season 1, there were adults fashioned, we're learning now, which in my mind is a great reassurance. People are taking very sane, rational steps to develop the Gorn. We know so little about it, but we did know something, and to fill that out, to flesh out what we know about the Gorn in a meaningful way that will lead down the pike. The jury is still out. They're still having inner circle discussions about how to get from here to there, and not to leave the adult Gorn out, and not to leave out the Gorn that we saw, which was criticized at the time because it was a shock to the system. It was treated the same way as the Gorn yearlings and hatchlings were last year. Difference was, it was part of one little segment of Inner Mirror Darkly, which people loved in the middle of the Depression about Enterprise going down and TV Star Trek going down. That kind of got brushed out of the memory hole, aside from the Gornophiles, who were especially there. Let me move this over a little bit. So I'm heartened to see that the creative process is basically mimicking what I would do, what a lot of us out here are saying and thinking. It's good to see a lot of folks kind of getting over the shock of last season with the Gorn and realizing there was an adult. He was wearing a spacesuit, and that it looked like a typical hand-to-hand, no gravity, null gravity. It was awesome. As I said in the second opinion, that may have been the best stunt battle, especially on episodic TV ever. Even with all the fancy-dancy Discovery, ooh, look at us do the cool stunts. This one was very organic and very revealing about the characters and the situation. I might be leaving one out, but it impressed me. I think I will go away from this thinking of that stunt sequence. I remember the rotating, when that was like a fad thing to do, the rotating room. Okay, fine. But it still felt like a stunt. This did not feel like a stunt. This was very organic. So I feel like we know a lot, and what we know about the process with them is proceeding. What we know about all the characters so far, they're still, if they're slicing, they're threading the needle here. If we're slicing a hair and sliding something through, it's happening, which that's what happens in real life. We don't always have the benefit of knowing the end game of something to retcon it back, to flush it out. And that's what's happening here with legacy characters, which that's fine. I would rather do that than never touch a legacy character again. It's not their fault. We know a bit about them and they stagnate. That's happening. I still stick to my guns, and I've seen other people support this. I hope we don't turn into a full bore stampede to wind up with the Kirk crew before this show is done. I know it's tempting. I said this on Second Opinion, and this is a criticism. I love Martin Quinn, not Quinn Martin. I love Martin Quinn as Scotty. It's good. As we said, it's finally, they've got a Scottish actor playing Scotty. We love Jimmy. Simon Pegg did a great job. We've gone from Canada to England and now to Scotland. What a concept. We know that it's bothered some people. It bothered me a little bit that we've got characters being cast slightly out of phase. Paul Wesley is 41, I believe, playing Kirk when he's 26, 27, and he can do that. I mean, it's a yardstick that, it doesn't really come into play until we look at what's going on and who we think of before that. Ethan is about 4 or 5 years younger than him. In real life, Nimoy and Shatner were the same age. Spock was supposed to be a little older than Kirk. The two actors are the same age. It's fine. You can chalk that up to species diversity in comparison. It's bothered a lot of people, though, that the only downer that people have seen about Martin's casting, not his portrayal, but his casting, is that he looks a little younger than Kirk, and we know that Scotty is older. Scotty's 11, 12 years older than Kirk. McCoy is almost as much. And please, we don't need McCoy. You're looking at the number one McCoy fan here. We do not need McCoy yet. For one thing, we need Mark Piper first. Now, is Scotty going to be just kind of transiting? Is he going to be a tangent? Pelia, everything about Pelia feels very temporary. She's running away from all the hordes hanging onto her thousands of years coattails. I was saying last time, my gosh, if you're going to have her in a plot, use her. I said on Second Opinion, if Guinan is your great plot device because she's hundreds of years old, well, hold my beer. We've got somebody over here who's a Lanthronite, whatever, and she's thousands of years old. And how is she not held captive in the Federation history barn? I don't know. But I get it that she wants to run away and keep having something fresh, some fresh adventures. No, wait a minute. Well, I'll get back to this. We're here in 2260. Remember, we're in 2259. Where No Man is 2265. Man Trap forward is 2266. So just as a timer, we are still 6-7 years before the first season, before the pilot and second season. So there's plenty of time for trauma. Martin is almost a baby face, though. I'm going to say, just as with Spock, that there is some trauma and some major life events ahead of Martin now that he's getting, I don't know, has he really been on that many number of ships and freighters as yet? Scotty in Relics, Jimmy Doohan's Scotty, says he's been on 11 ships in his career, including the Enterprise. Whether that includes the Enterprise Refit, the Enterprise A, I don't know. Could it be 10 other ships or 8 other ships? But that's 10 or 8 other ships. He talks about the Star Driver. Okay, there's one. But I think he may wander off. He may one-off mention over the years being on a freighter or when he was on a this or on a that. I'll have to check that. But basically, he's got some more time. He's had 12, 15 years, 17 years out of the academy. So he's just been engineering around and not concerned himself with the rank. He's a Lieutenant JG. We don't know what his rank was in Where No Man because of the goofy stripe system. We do know he was Lieutenant Commander by 2260. So in 7 years, he's Lieutenant Commander. He has advanced 2 ranks. That's what we know. I'm hoping that he has some horrible gut-wrenching thing that puts a little age on that baby face by the time we get to 2265 and 2266. I'm hoping within 6-7 years, something horrific happens to him that really ages him. But that's what we hold the door open to. Same way as we're looking at all the legacy characters we've been talking about all along. But that's a thing. That's a thing. I almost wonder what happens to I hope to God they don't kill Pelia off. How can you kill a thousands-year-old sentient life form that's probably been through to hell and back and come back? I'd like to know what glancing blow Pelia does when she takes off, where her trip leads her. Does she wind up like Kaiopaka or something? Does she wind up trapped, helping people as a means to? I can't believe her trapping herself up front. I don't know. I'm speculating here. What have we learned? We've just learned what a completely open-ended slate all these characters are presenting us. We've also learned that Starfleet Academy will be off down the line. It will be a 30-second show unless that little gizmo about 100 years of no Starfleet was a total was a total red herring. But basically, that will be the and probably with Tilly and some of her cadets we saw probably when we get there. Section 31 is the 2-hour movie now. We know that. I've talked to some people that say it's at least a 2-hour movie to fulfill the new Paramount Plus mission of having more TV movies. Will it still potentially serve as a backdoor pilot for a cast without Michelle Yeoh? She sets up a show and then she's gone, and it's as much of a spin-off potential as, hey, those last 2 hours of Picard for Legacy. At least that much is what could be in the offing here. We know that they are working madly on the production side of things, but might be holding up if the strikes last much longer on Section 31. Not the Academy. The writers' room was working, but did not get far enough along to agree on the conceptual designs they wanted to then hand to an art department to go out and actually make whole. They didn't have they hadn't worked long enough to nail down the conceptual concepts that they wanted to see realized. So we're not that far along. Probably some basics, maybe, but not enough for people to come in and draw blueprints and swing hammers or pneumatic hammers. And most of all, we are learning that this whole streaming industry, we've learned this strike is exposed, just as the pandemic exposed so much. We have learned how little the streaming model is. Although I will say, the signs seem to point, and as much as people were pissed about how Discovery was handled, how even more people were pissed about the canceling, the canceling, but also the erasure of Prodigy from Paramount Plus. That Paramount Plus, as I would hear writers say, had not been so abusive to the process as others, looking at you, Netflix, had been on the whole writing system that has been around for 50, 60 years, that's given us what we've got. So all the new cast and crew, I've been reading about some of the other players who are stepping up, who are wanting to get the strike ended. Another executive at Netflix, and as much wrath as Bob Iger took for his unrealistic comments, he has wanted to step in. Saw him mentioned in one of the trade news reports. But even from Star Trek, you may have missed it because it came out just as Vegas was ending. But there was a quarterly statements call. Trek Movie did a story about it. Basically, there were no specifics about Star Trek, but the bottom line was that the franchises of Paramount, which now it's not just Star Trek. Now we have, for some reason, Taylor Sheridan's shows are now a franchise. You get 1 or 2 shows, I guess you're a franchise. I guess that's only fair. But they are leaning into those. So that bodes good things for Star Trek. Nobody got mentioned by name. The bottom line here is, for me, is will we ever again have a structure where we had 3 live action series and 2 animateds? Can I still count? Yes, I can count. Which yield us, if we stick with the 10 episodes a season model at a time, and I know that was not what Prodigy was doing, but going with that, that's 5 series, 10 a year, 10 a season. That's 50 weeks. That's all but 2 weeks a year covered, even when they overlap. And yeah, Prodigy having a 20 episode season would alter that. Is that going to be a pace that keeps up? If we look up in a year from now or year and a half from now, and the Academy is the Academy and Strange New, that's 2 live actions and Lower Decks. Is that enough? That's 30 weeks. Would they be happy with that, or will we get back around to the bean counters decide that the streaming model, without some major change, is going to support that, or maybe 1 more streaming series? Or you've been seeing Chris Fisher sound off, wishing out loud for a 20 episode, maybe even a 15 episode season again. Do we go back that direction to get more bang out of them? We don't wear out the writers or the crews or actors, but to get more out of a season, is somebody to, rather than have 3 10 episode live actions, we have 2, maybe 3, and they do 15 rather than having a 4th? Is that where we go? I don't know. I'm still waiting to see Everything that Picard unleashed by shooting in LA, where we understand, sadly, and as much as I would love to see all Star Trek get back to LA where God intended it, thank you, Kalis. Uh, it costs 4 to 5 times more to shoot in LA, the same amount of footage. To get 10 1 hour episodes is 4 to 5 times more expensive in LA than in Toronto. That's a crime. That shouldn't be that way. People should take steps or supporting governments for the lost jobs and revenue as much as the vibe. And I love Canadians. I'm thrilled that you've got an industry. I'm only talking about Star Trek. I just hope that, and I haven't seen this, I still hope that the success of Picard hasn't somehow backfired and boomeranged, and the legacy drive hasn't led to some kind of I don't know, a competition that's not as healthy as it should be between Toronto and LA makers. Now, the only reason they shot in LA was because of Sir Patrick. If that's not a factor, then I don't think any Star Trek is going to shoot here, even though half or more of the people involved, from producers and writers on down, through a lot of the creatives who can work from home, I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. And that's probably something that we have learned. If there's some major shakeup in financing, if there's some major shakeup in some kind of tax credit, far bigger than what Picard had. Picard did have a tax credit to shoot in California, but it was nothing near what it would take to put a dent in it and make it the same as shooting in Toronto right now. And most of all, what have we learned? We've learned that, once again, the thing that's fearful, an animated series, a kid's series, a musical, an animated crossover. I think we've learned that despite all the hand-wringing and the pearl clutching, which happens every time Star Trek comes back from a gulf, I think, for the most part, most of fandom is breathing easier, that a lot of these are being carried off. Now, I know several people that still have legitimate criticisms of even Strange New Worlds. And that's fine. I'm not going to go through them here, but people earnestly, sincerely talk about the things they're not the most happy with. People are still wondering what we love Chrissy Chong, but they're still wondering, why is there a Noonien Singh character in this mix and Kirk is coming in, and you start to see some memes. If these are really long-term Easter eggs that I hope have a long-term point and weren't just, ooh, this would be cool. But, we've got at least 3 years, seasons, hopefully 4, 5, or 6, to find out what's going to happen with some of these breadcrumbs that were planted here today. I don't know. But we're sitting here production-wise, physically. It's hard to imagine, production-wise, talk about that Gorn in the adult suit, but that was a performer in a suit in the thing enhanced with CG, which was awesome. And we may have our number one uncredited performer so far for Strange New Worlds. But the ability of pure production has been unparalleled. Are we going to keep seeing actual commitments? Are we really going to have to chalk up TOS to being the drama? My headcanon that I came up with the first time I saw Enterprise on Discovery, and if not the outside of the ship, especially the bridge. And I know bridge modules and all that, but in a large sense, if the movie continuity dovetails better into that than the TV, obviously, because it was a sea change between 66 and 79 TV to movie quality, budgets and such. But if we're going to back off of the 60s TOS just being the popularly dramatized adventures for the masses that Admiral Kirk wrote about in his foreword to the motion picture novelization, I've seen more and more people pick up on that. I should go back and post-date that. But if they're sincerely going to try to match this and one more refit, and we dumb the ship down with advancements, Okay, that's fine. We can do that. But for right now, I'm set. I'm good. I'm good because there's so much positive about Strange New Worlds. Just this cast and their chemistry, and if you're going to do a musical, you'd better have some of that cast chemistry in place to take it to a higher level. And I believe they did. I believe they did. Uh, it's been heartening from Trek Vegas and some of the podcasters out there that my lifelong mission to see more due at the time given to those backstage creatives from the other writers on down, even the showrunners. That seems like that's happening too. So yay on that. It's nice not being the only lone voice out here, especially voice. Apart from the Makeup and the Makeup Guild and the DP report in American Cinematographer or Cinefex, it's good to see the mainstreaming of some of these really deep cut production categories. Oof. But that said, Portal 47 is not going anywhere, as you would think. Gang, I don't know. What have we learned here as we take a breath? What are you going to do? Oftentimes I'll say, what are you going to do with the hiatus? It's only 3 weeks. It's only 4 Thursdays. And 4 Thursdays till Star Trek Day. What are you going to reflect on from what you've seen come out of Comic-Con and even Trek Vegas, even without it being an official convention? Save it up. We'll circle back around and I'll dive into the chat and we'll see what everybody thinks. For right now, though, we're halfway through August. Can you believe it? Is summer, does it feel like summer's almost over? I don't know if it feels that way or not, but for any time of year, whenever you're headed this way to LA, I hope you'll think about your own custom away mission. Yeah, think about me, our Trekland Treks. Hey, there's a documentary coming by some really talented folks. It's the best commercial ever for the fact that you don't have to sit back at home and listen to a couple of stars talk about location sites. Watch them being a few of the top ones being, you can dive into any of the 50 that are around here. Some of them brand new thanks to Picard. And I'll be your guy. Let me know, get ahead of us ahead of time. We'll plan your day. We'll go to 4 places. I'll pick you up, be your guide, be your wrangler, props, whatever. TreklandTreks.com. Check it out, everybody. Of course, another week here as my voice grinds on, and I got to thank our Patreon folks. A big shout out to the folks who are in our TTL club. Hey, that includes, of course, Diana Hopkins, Robin Wilson, Lawrence Todd, Anne-Marie Siegel, Justin Porteous, Galinda Bruton, Chris Jiggins, Pranakasha Productions, Comedy Forecast, and Andrew Jazimski. And one step up, our TTL live wires. I'm talking about Rob McLean, Byron Bailey, J.R. Poole, Albert Gunn Johnson, Alan Hoenzi, Dave Gregory, Tobias Rex, Donna Runyon, and Donna S. Runyon, and Casey Shafsky, and a bunch of these folks. It was a pleasure to see once again at Vegas. Vegas getting back. What did we learn? We learned that you can, for those who have forgotten, who weren't around 10 years ago, we can perfectly have an unlicensed Star Trek convention. We can learn that some folks, as much as we talk and talk and talk here on all of our podcasts and live streams and all that, when you meet fans in the flesh, there's still lots out there to confuse people, whether it's about the show canon or just the way the strikes, the way the streaming industry works. And so that's why I totally enjoy having this time with you every Tuesday. That's why I enjoy digging into the business side on our Ask Dr. Trek roundtables on Portal. And talking about it anytime I have a guest, talking about what their niche in the industry, how it impacts or affects, I should say. You know that impact is the word that means physical contact. So all these people that love to think it's more dramatic to say, how will this impact my industry? Well, if it's in an asteroid that's going to crush your headquarters building, that would be an impact. Otherwise, that big dramatic thing happening conceptually to your big dramatic numbers on a spreadsheet, that's an effect, not an impact. Or else we just let the English language go to hell. Your choice. Yeah, there's a rant for you. What did we learn? We learned impact versus effect. No, kids, we learned that there is So much to do. And I learned at Vegas that there are still so many new fans coming in. It's glorious. Gosh, who'd have thought? Cranking out 5 new series over the last 5, 6, 7 years. It's finally started to sink into the zeitgeist. New Trek is finally starting to soak in. People are picking up on Pike's Peak. People are picking up on the Gorn and on the Klingon. People are picking up on Choo 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 and a sarcastic Vulcan goodbye. People are picking up on holograms, Janeway or otherwise, and whatever else we go down the list for. People are picking up that a lot of celebrities are Trek fans. People are picking up on the mundanes, the vast audience. Star Trek is creeping back into the mundane national consciousness, and it's a good thing. Even as we're sitting here watching the Sturm and Drang of the week-to-week, season-to-season drama, the end result is we are not in the fallow times, and there's not just one Stark out there, but there's 4, 5, 6, 7 happening, and it's a glorious thing. And new blood keeps showing up at every convention, especially Vegas. New blood from around the world, where a lot of you all are from today. So that's going to do it for me. Thanks to our Patreons, of course. Thanks to anyone, if you're considering a Trekland Trek, come on out. Thanks to everybody who is, yes, our Trekophiles spelled with an F, because you're back at it. Hey, we've got Tim Peel, once again, who is the modern graphics guru for everything Toronto-based, everything but Picard and the animateds, although he's there to consult. He's our guest this week on the Trek Files, but we're talking about a decidedly non-artsy topic. Just Gene and his philo, his philosophy. Guru Gene in the 70s, and Tim wanted to talk about it, and we had a fun time doing so. So yeah, the Trek Files is up for this week. We're nearing the end of our 10th season. That's amazing. But they're all there. They're all there on the Facebook page, the Trek Files, or wherever your podcasts are caught. The Facebook page is the one place in the universe where you can see the documents of the week, because it ain't just called the Trek Files for nothing, kids. We didn't just use that as a folder, as a logo for nothing on that folder. Absolutely. Facebook.com/the Trek Files. Otherwise, if you're leaving us now, and if you're watching on Facebook, you can leave a comment below. You missed the live show. I hope you can join us live, though. 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday. Otherwise, excuse me, gang. Otherwise, it's Larry Nemechek on Twitter and Instagram, and Larry Trekland on Instagram, and Facebook, and YouTube, and like and subscribe. Ring that bell, do all the things, if you would, please. That's going to do it for me. I'm just saying, whether you're getting that weird way, that little wave of COVID that's out, a lot of people came away from Vegas with one. You're getting a summer cold, or you just can't stop talking over the months. Whatever is going on, and heat, whatever's happening. All the weather crazy out there too as well. Please do all the things and stay healthy, would you please? And it seems like whatever is going on, even when it comes to the writer and actor strikes and the motion side of things, check the sources, much less the political. Okay? And truck well, everybody. I need a big gulp. And no, that's not trademark 7-Eleven. All righty. Let's look at a small glimpse, because, we've been watching the Parrot Analytics since the dawn of Discovery. I'd only been doing this about 5-6 months when Discovery aired. We started following the Parrots every week, and the Parrots were an attempt to come in and look at internet data as a way of filling in the gap, because there were no Nielsen's for the digital channels. Nielsen's has been rapidly, as you would expect, trying not to become extinct and worthless and useless. to adapt to changing times, the streamers are trying to figure out how to make themselves relevant as well. Because the old network model is only what, 20% of what we watch now? So, all these across the board, we've seen the impact of the streaming evolution. So the parrots, they talk about the relative popularity of shows as measured by online content. Fans, critics, studios, retweets, reposts, all that. Average demand expression. So if it's a show that's a hit, but it's only for 80-year-olds, it's not going to have a big PDE. An ADE every week. For weeks, we followed these every week at the Parrot site, but it looks like they've finally made a break. They have stopped posting. It's been since June since they posted 2-week-old results. The weeklies, it looks like they've sold the rights to a site called TV Geek, which we've been following for months. There's been no press release that I saw, but it looks official. TV Geeks has the week-to-week numbers. And this week, as of August 11th, right? Yes, August 10th, which has been nearly a week ago. This ends with the Thursday of the finale dropping. So, not quite, but at least as far as the day of dropping and leading into it. Strange New Worlds peaked at number 7 on the top 10 in the US, as far as the digital originals only, the way we used to look at the charts. There's that. Their peak demand was 51 times more popular than an average show. The average demand is 49 times. So their peak, the average has been a high, and it's been that's still well within the top 0.2%, less than 0.25% of all TV, the way Parrots measured it. In fact, all the Star Treks, except maybe the animateds, when they're furthest away from being hot shows. But everything Star Trek is in that upper 0.25%. Not a quarter, but 0.25%. And they're doing really well. So, it's come to the point where that's the measurement. What's really interesting, and I mentioned this last week, is that the iTunes ratings for Subspace Rhapsody, the musical, the soundtrack, was bubbling along at number 2 and 3 in the US, and 2 and 3 down to 6, 7, 8 in the UK. There were times when it was the number 1. It was ahead of the Taylor Swift that had just dropped. So the Subspace Rhapsody soundtrack and that musical episodes has made a huge impact. Will we see another musical? I don't know. I should have mentioned that in the top. That's something else. Maybe we'll cut that in for the archive. And now, here we are. I'm staring at the chat. We'll see what everybody is saying. Welcome once again, everybody. If you didn't sound off, I have back scrolled. I know you guys are putting the markers in now. Back scrolled after the Parrots. That was a very short little remote report, but what can you say? It'll be curious to see if we beat that. If the finale numbers from the week passing can beat number 7. And I will look and see what we got here. So it was high. Again, it was so good to see so many of you all, of our portales, of people in the Patreons here. So many folks at Vegas. Again, I take it for granted. We talk here so much, but I will see. So I can't put this up for you. Yeah, so John Connor, the John Con, is saying in his texting, because he's not in the chat room, but I will share it with you here, that it's important to note that any leaks or news about the strike or the offers is more likely being done to damage negotiations, right? It's something specific in favor of the producers, unless it specifically comes from the guild leadership. Yeah. Don't let them trick us into carrying words and water against our own brothers, sisters, and comrade siblings on the strike lines. So yeah, if you see leaks like that, remember that if it's a leak like that, it's the same thing as in politics in DC. It's a strategy, or talk about your sports athletes and the management of their teams, coaches on contracts, whatever. If there's a release like that, it's something strategic or something tactical. So you got to view it through that lens. So, well, John's saying, isn't it, I'll say this here. I don't know if it's too long. I'm just going to do this. That I'm saying, isn't it generally accepted that Scotty was chief of engineering aboard the Enterprise before Kirk took the seat? We don't know. Scotty is running things. Scotty's the chief of engineering in 2265 with Kirk. We don't know if he predated Kirk or not. We'll see that. Again, this could be canon in a vacuum. This could be what we presume. So I'm doing that, but I still got to back scroll, guys. I should not have done that. I'm gonna be back scroll before I do bring anything out on the side. It's good to see everybody. I don't know if I got enough good days and hellos in here. We've definitely got the continent in. So many more people are coming in on tubes. It's good to see everybody. Christoph and Andrew and Dave and Diana and Doralta and Dave and Sophia from Portugal. And let's see. Wow, Dave, you just got home from Vegas? That was some trip, man. Let's see. Everybody. Yeah, the heat's been something, hasn't it? Oh, Christoph, you are in Scottyland. That's the unplanned end of Disneyland. Did you know that there was going to be a Scottyland? It was all going to be in red and always lighting up, blowing up. Hey, analysis. 2 was good, but too many gimmick episodes. Time travel, animated, the musical, too many gimmicks. TMG. That's what we'll say. We'll see if anybody agrees. But I can understand you saying that. Let's see. Really, Christoph? YouTubers are complaining, you mean the hosts, the content creators, are complaining about a bad summer slump with viewing numbers. A little break can be good. Except for the UK trekkers, where we have Destination Trek this weekend in Birmingham. That's right. A lot of people on their way to Birmingham. Here it's Tuesday. Americans heading over today or tomorrow, probably. Oh, you did see a Lower Decks commercial online, or maybe on Paramount Plus. Dave, you agree with me? Lower Decks has been very low key, lower promo. Okay. Well, Sean, that's good, but isn't that what you would expect them to do anyway? Some would say, why does it take you so long? But maybe they're doing it as a double kick right before the new season is out. Hello, Rose. Good to see you. You're going to be at Birmingham. All righty. All right. Hey, Willie. Good to see you. Who's Mary Poppins? Is he cool? She, Zahir, hangs out with penguins. No, it's not really con crud. I had to talk for. You guys are focused on cons, but I came home with some people missing in our team to run Family Day at Will Rogers. There's some live video up, but I had to talk. We had to clean out some stuff in the dirt, and then I had to talk all day long for like most of 2 days. I feel like I have not had a rest in 2 months. This week has been awesome. No, It isn't. It isn't. Well, I think we're going to figure out what the even keel is here. Maybe it's not about budget and promotion. Maybe it's just about human nature's ability to absorb. We were laughing about that last year, that finally getting a break. There never is such a thing as too much Star Trek. Well, right, if it's going to be on demand, then that should be a little bit of the moot point. It's just this world drives and drives and drives. That's why I say, seriously, gang, that's why I say in Second Opinion, let the dust settle for 2 or 3 days. Does everything have to be out that moment, that instinct, that minute? Oh boy. You're ready for more new rec. Yes. Oh no. I've negatively affected you there, Melanie. Lower Decks Discovery and Strange. Oh no. I've shortened your titles. What are you asking me here? Aggressively relieving, relaxing. Hey, AR, are you from the wall? AR, is this your first time with us? Thank you. Have I seen the ship from the Trek comics showing up in Star Trek Online game? It happened so quick. How is Trek doing the best supporting its games out of all these nerd properties? Awesome. I don't know. It looks like there's been more Trek cooperation. Certainly getting the STO ships, my friend Thomas and all that gang, getting them into canon on screen and Picard has been amazing. And the support they've gotten from Dave Blass, who kind of initiated that. That's an all-time high. Oh, Orville, new season. I know. I have thought of Orville adjacent. Guess I should have. Oh, Andrew, as long as I don't go on strike, you'll be okay. Well, see, the thing with that is you had to be paid something first before. If my Patreoners and my Portal 47ers don't go on strike on me, then I guess we'll do okay. Well, there you go. I mean, they were certainly tense, but they were pushing the envelope that direction just as much as the musical pushed it this direction. So, again, it's a kudos to Strange New and Star Trek in general that the old meme we'd say about the original series, it can handle all these formats and these tones, and it does. I tend to agree. Yes. The Gorn was originally a sphere with retractable tentacles. In Frederick Brown's short story, which Gene Coon accidentally stole and realized at the last moment, politically made it good. If you don't know that story, somebody ask me and I'll tell you, but you can find it on Wikipedia. You're going to rewatch Futurama and Babylon 5. A lot of people are rewatching Babylon 5 and Doctor Who. No follow-up episodes about the little kid in the chair. Are you saying you don't want them, or you're wishing that they did do one? From season 1, right? Yeah, we'll see. The one where Deanna flies through Nebula and this eerie voice says, "Eyes in darkness." Well, I think that's Night Terrors. That's one they all the writers, if you read the Next Gen Companion, the writers all winced at that. They hated that show because they thought the effect of her flying looked really cheesy. They thought it took away from it. They ran out of Corbomite. Yeah. Let's see. Or the one with the alien abduction. Yes. Narda, it's good to have you with us and have the Outback represented. Absolutely. Yes, the Gorn battle. And it was it was weightless, so they almost did have an homage to the goofy slow motion rubber suit Gorn fight. But again, I've got that retconned. Well, that's true. They do cast different people all the time, but the high school drama where everyone's in their mid-20s, they're all in their mid-20s together. All I'm saying is, and I didn't jump up and throw a fit and a tantrum and get on and ready for 30 minutes about it. But all I'm saying is, when you put Scotty and Ethan, Scotty and Spock on Strange New together, okay. I'm just saying that Scotty up against Kirk looks a little baby faced. I'm willing to let Scotty have some horrific adventures and trauma to age that baby face just a little. Otherwise, unless they recast it, that's all you can do. Yes, I was going to get it out right before we moved, and I didn't do it. Yes, Christoph. European Ask Dr. Trek is tomorrow and midday for the U.S. Absolutely. Okay, thank you, Brian. One other. I mean, the world will keep spinning. There's nothing you can do about it now. But it is that. Paul Wesley is a fairly young-looking 41, and that helps. Narda, you are not alone. I think this is the opinion of an awful lot of folks. People love Paul Wesley. There's still a lot of jury out about whether he's got the, I don't know, the Shatner rounded corners for Kirk. In a way that I never thought Scott Pine. Anyway, that the Kelvin Kirk didn't have an issue with. Hey, Steve. We feel that we still have a ways to go until we get to TOS characters yet. Yeah, we've got 6 years. 6 years at max before Strange New Worlds. I mean, where no one's gone before, where no man has gone before. The second pilot, the first Kirk pilot. Yeah. Well, this would be nice. This would be a logical Duralta. SNW ends with Pike giving Kirk the keys, right? And Kirk says, set a course to M113. No, it would be looking for the Valiant. It would be the where no man plot is, with no Uhura and no McCoy. Scotty problem fixed. Well, that's one way to do it. See, I love Simon Pegg, Christoph, but I never thought of Simon Pegg as Scotty. He's just too thin and wiry to be Scotty. Scotty's stocky. And I just, and they didn't want to put Simon in a wig, but his hair, that's a physical thing, but I just never thought about it. Oh, what did I say here? Oh, because the Star Driver, Mike, former ship Sun Diver, it was Star Driver, but yes, Starfleet likes David Brin novels, or they're fans of Hot Black Deseado and Disaster Area. Okay. Apology accepted. Okay, there you go. I have seen people who cared to. I've seen people speculate on that. Now, Flint talked about himself as an immortal, not like, oh, I'm a Lanthrosite, a Lanthronite, and this is normal. But maybe he didn't want to. Maybe that was his own prime directive little touch there. He didn't want to reveal Lanthonites, and he may not be aware that the Lanthonites have already been revealed. Pelia is nearly 10 years before this. So, well, Sean, you might have a point. But they've been on the boards for so long. It's been this forward momentum on them. Glenn, maybe you should turn the sound up and everybody in your meeting would want to hear too. Scintillating audio. It's scintillating audio. Well, and again, analysis. I wonder if what the tone of a Section 31 show might be more of a Wild Wild West than a Tom Clancy. It may botch it, but it might be that may be the goal. It might be more dark humored, you know, that way. Sundiver or Star Driver sounds more like the name of a shuttle or a probe. I know. Driver seems interesting. Well, that's the other side of it. Yeah. Well, again, Glenn, we had one tiny sliver of Gorn canon, so we'll see what they do to bridge that gap. Hmm. Sorry, everybody. I am lost in the questions here. Hey, Boat Trek, talking about this strange new and canon thing. You take quality over quantity. The number of eps in a season, I think you're talking about. 3 live actions, 2 animateds. Why not one comic series and several book series with because then you're paying authors and comics. It's a mess. I'll just say it up front until the superstructure of credits and payment are changed, which we're in the middle of right now anyway. And look at the chaos. So, yeah, you would get those people in to do something, not go to what they wrote and bring it in. Well, the evilness of espionage, I agree, but that might not be what the series is. That's all I'm saying. They lightened up Georgiou considerably. Well, I can see McCoy maybe not knowing much about them if he's been isolated and just got back into Starfleet. I think if you read the transcript, this was my point on Second Opinion. Kirk says something about, I'm standing here face to face with a creature that calls itself a Gorn. We've always taken that to mean he has no idea about Gorn and he's just repeating the word. What he might be saying is, this guy says he's a Gorn, but that doesn't look like the Gorn I've seen in the records. This is it's like, well, he's kind of green and lizardy, but other than that, this thing looks nothing like the Gorn I've seen. He's calling himself. That might be the revised, updated, modernized view. Just to say. Christoph, you're saying you don't think they'll do 3 live actions again. Mm-hmm. And if 31 stays as a movie, then Academy blocks or falls to Legacy. Also Galaxy Quest. You could show the evilness of espionage in your show. You think, Boat Trek, that Strange and Lower Decks have 1 or 2 seasons left? We'll see. Um, Hey, Steve, you say Star Trek's in a very healthy place. Creative, the writing is strong, productions are imaginative, and the cast and production crews are clearly having fun with what they're doing. Very true. I don't know who could disagree with that. Hi, Just Rosie, and you can still say hi to JR, but I'll say hi to you too. Woohoo! It's Anne Marie. You're at your sister's having coffee out of your Trekland Cadet Alice mug. Oh, awesome. Pictures doesn't count. Oh wait, I guess we don't. We don't have the provision. Well, enjoy your Cadet Alice mug. That's awesome. Thank you, Anne Marie, for spreading the cup love. Um, well, this is kind of what I'm left with since Strange New didn't, blow up and blow away a week or two into it. It's here very much so. So you can't you can't undo 60 years of a whole world loving those designs and loving that environment. It has to find a legit way to have been a thing. And I think it can be a parallel to what really happened, especially when you had that entree where Kirk is writing about people hero worshiping their adventures for mass consumption. Oh, Narda, you weren't a fan of the musical, but there was some great singing in it. Yes. Oh, what do we think about the cliffhanger? Again, this is what my second opinion was about. But are you ready to have a 15 or an 18-month wait? Those of you who were around in 1990, 3 months was an eternity. But now you got 15, 18 months, maybe, depending on how long the strike does go on. Woof. Okay, we have a reunion here. Hi, hey, is that Kimmy or just KMII? Like a radio station, TV station. It's good to have you with us. If this is your first time or if it's not, either way. Your only gripe about the musical was that the Klingons turned into a high pitched singing and dancing boy band, K pop, instead of singing in typical guttural Klingon manner and doing batleth fighting. Well, how many people of the humans on Enterprise or human adjacent crew did the same thing? Let's see. Thank you, Dave. Things you learned, the huge way the writers actors strike impacted this summer, and how interconnected they are, but also how creative both the GalaxyCon and STLV worked within the restrictions. Absolutely. I haven't really had a full report on GalaxyCon, but I'm going to assume that they basically went at it like Vegas did. Justin. The Klingon solid gold answers. Exactly. Melanie, you are not the only one. Absolutely. Yes. Really, Christoph. The musical, as well as the courtroom crossover and war criminal ep, are all strongly disliked by some. Why do people dislike the war criminal? Because they didn't want Mabenga to kill him, which we don't know happened? I really? They didn't see Duet? They didn't see Jatrell? They didn't see, what was it? The seventh? Or fallen idol, fallen hero on Enterprise. That's the war criminal, martyr impersonator is oh, that's amazing. And the flashbacks, AR 558. Okay. And courtroom, really? The courtroom episodes, court martial, menagerie, on down, the drumhead. I'm sorry, I'm not yelling at you, Crystal. I can see people a little not up for the musical, but the war episode, the war criminal episode, I don't get it. I don't know. Question, Rose. What would happen if the engineers made something to save the crew, Pelia and Scotty save the day in season 3, episode 1. Then I guess they would be saved, and the crew would be saved. Oh my God, you guys, I need some more caffeine. This heat is something. The crew would be safe. I'm not sure what you're asking here. So they save the day. You mean like they're well, they wouldn't. I don't know. They'd become famous. Not sure what. Okay, Steve. The thing with the Gorn, we don't know where the end game is going. Exactly. Maybe this will end with a catastrophic defeat, which causes them to retreat into the very far regions, out of the way until the Enterprise crosses their path in Arena. Yes, and it wasn't the Enterprise didn't cross their path. The colony on Cestus 3 was attacked, and the Enterprise was called in to respond. Just so we're clear. And then it finds out that they should never have had the colony there in the first place, and yada yada. Dave, the other thing you learned, the risks that current Trek writers take, especially with these last seasons, these fast seasons, and it really pays off. And the stars really enjoy their work on the series. There's a lot of love behind the scenes. Absolutely. Absolutely. When you mean short, you mean like basically we only got 10. Let's carve them up and do our best stuff. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Christoph, for the needle. There you go. Back in sync. Okay. Very good. Oh, look at you, Sophia. Sean. I'm sorry, Sean. Haven't had a terrestrial TV service for at least 6 years. The world has changed. Absolutely. Hey, Fathery. Michelle Paradise, Jonathan Frakes, and SMG have all made comments about how there were plans for more disco. Yeah, they were all shocked that it was canceled. Sounds like Kurtzman had to sacrifice season 6 to get the Academy green light. I don't know. I don't know if anybody will talk about this right now while things are dicey between the strikes and the future of streaming, unless somebody is very bold. One of the execs gets asked about it in a real TV industry setting. I don't know if any of them want to talk about it. We will see. So yeah, I've heard people say. Now I'm back up to John Connor's comment here. I did not know. I had not seen that as a prevailing, canon in a vacuum, headcanon thing among most fans. He was there relatively at the same time as Kirk. I don't know about so much beforehand, but there you go. Steve, only anecdotal, I hear you. But at least one person their teenage son got into Trek through Strange and Lower Decks and now wants to watch the original series. I wonder if he came in with those old scientists and then found Lower Decks from that. We'll see. We'll see. Hey, Anthony, howdy back at you. Good to see you, man. A fellow Will Rogers veteran there. You're very welcome. We needed a bigger turnout, but it was the same size as last year. It was good. Interesting way you lump things together, Melanie. Never have too much Star Trek or too many Kraftwerks shows. Let's see. Yeah, a lot to be said about quality over quantity, but not looking forward to 18 months of no SNW. I know that's what we're looking at. Oh, Sean, Doug was posting a lot of Orville stuff today, and you miss it. Yeah, they're trying to stopgap some things there. Let's see. Having a break doesn't worry you. Plenty of time to rewatch this. We've been very lucky having this much concurrent track. That's true. The glass half full or 2/3 full is exactly that. Oh, if you at least just watch Strange or LD, there's no fatigue. Right. What are you saying here, Jonathan? Oh, I'm going to throw these over here. So I'm just going to say John Kahn here for a second. Time is apparently rippled, sentientish and rippled. The lack of cleanup to Braxton's incursion in 67 from Future's End Voyager, or Voyager's 1966 incursion on top of that. Maybe. Mm. Okay. Are we at the end here? Oh, no. That's me posting. Sorry, guys. I just went to the Bahamas there for a second. Old Steve Martin line. Let me redo that. What is the name of that Gorn? Kuhn stole the name Gorn. No, no, no. The whole plot of Arena was a short story Frederick Brown wrote that Gene Kuhn read at one point, and then under the gun when he first came to Star Trek, he was trying to write a full script in about 3 days. He locked himself in his room, in his office, and cranked out the story of Arena. And then as they put it into production, because they were behind and losing air dates, he realized later on, soon, that he had totally ripped off Frederick Brown. So rather than try to sneak it out there, they called Frederick Brown and said, "We'd like to buy the story rights from your short story," and paid him $500 or something. And he was happy as a clam, not knowing that they had already been working on it and had the suits made. They had all the rubber suits and everything made. That's basically it. Yes, the Blu-rays are coming in November for the Babylon 5 shows. Let's see here. Oh, Rob. Hey, Rob. It was great to see so many Portal people at Vegas. Absolutely. Great to meet. We've met before, but it's good to see you anyway. Oh, Mrs. Nemechek, I think. Yeah. Larry is correct. Kept running into lots of first timers. Thanks for everything. Things are getting better because of our trip. Good to hear it. I'm good to hear it, Rob. Been a rough year for a lot of folks this year, and it's good to know that there is some good in meeting up. The exact opposite of what you would think if you only looked at online fandom sometimes. Some of the rabbit holes and black spaces you get into, dark spaces, I should say. Oh, you about the Gorn only attacking when Spock went for his phaser. Interesting take. Was it self-defense? See, there's got to be something. There's got to be something happen, but then it can't totally be solved because we have to have more friction. There has to be something hanging in the air. But you know what? There had to be something still hanging in the air for Organia with the Klingons and Errand of Mercy. So those are kind of parallel situations. Same thing with the Romulans. A lot of pending friction hanging out there that season 1 Star Trek got into with the big 2 and the little 1. That's something. Eyes in the dark, one moon circles. You always thought it was funny that in the 80s and 90s, they cast obvious 20-somethings as teenagers, but starting around the 2010s, they started casting kids who look like teenagers as adults. Yes, you noticed that, did you, Glenn? I think I've seen this. Well, he's talking about people swinging for the rafters, people going for the really, really extreme stereotype and saying they don't know him at all. Okay. And we haven't met Gary Mitchell yet either. Absolutely. Or Layla Kalomi, which is a visit to Earth. Spock's going to go to Earth in another couple years and meet Layla Kalomi. And it'll probably be one-sided, but still. Young Jim looks like Jim Carrey. I know. A lot of memes for that one too. What are you saying here, Sean? If Star Trek Academy debuted in the SNW era, Chekhov could be our main character as still a cadet. That's true. That's true. In fact, Chekhov would not be in the Academy yet. He graduated first season, so he's 3 years away from being even entering the Academy as of the current season. His Academy years ought to be 62 to 66, I would think. He's not that green, sir. Maybe Scotty's workaholism ages him. Well, that would certainly be part of it. Is there enough time in 6 or 7 years for workaholism to have that much of an effect on its own? Now, combine workaholism with some huge shocks to the system, and now we're talking. Now we're getting somewhere. Okay, Narda, it wouldn't be the first time we agreed. Yep. Chris Pine, I'm fine with Chris Pine as Kirk. I thought he was a great choice. And I thought he inhabited it, that whole thing, inhabit the character without mimicking those who came before. I had a little bit of experience with that, and we got it better the second time, I think. Mm-mm-mm. Oh, good. Thank goodness. He sits down, course captain, we need to find the Valiant. Exactly. Let's see. Oh, guys, can you tell the heat's getting to me? Let's see. A little bit. A little bit. Hey, Mike, believe me, I raced to get the transcript. I said this at the time. I said this a year ago that's we've been slicing a lot. You know what you can say? Well, we're sure having to go read the tape, watch the tape, read the transcript, and slice and thread the needle for this. But that's kind of what's going to happen unless you just ignore these characters. Do we ignore them? Do we play them so safe? Nothing is surprising? I'd much rather have well crafted surprise. It's only a surprise until we get over it. Cybok was a surprise in 1989. Now it's been 30 years, right? 9909. Yeah, it's been 30 years. Not a surprise any longer. So, it's only a surprise the first time you hear about it. I totally agree with you, Sean. The Cadet Alice mug should be referred to as an Alice chalice. Absolutely. I need to get one. Um, I know. Comedy is Lower Decks is comedy and animated. From a good source at STLV, Lower Decks 5th season already in the works. Well, yeah. Yes. What are you saying here, Father? You forgot who it was, but someone described the 31 movie as Mission Impossible meets Guardians of the Galaxy. Yes, I've heard that. A little raucous. Because if you really want to pick it up as a movie, I mean, if Michelle Yeoh is your centerpiece, you got to have something besides her. You got to have an ensemble around her. And that seems like it's the best way to defeat everyone's fears about not having this dark, brooding, mean-spirited, not the spirit of Trek. Yeah, I can totally see that. And here we go. Yes, the Alice Chalice from the palace has the brew. That is true. With its crew, it's all new. This is what I'm saying. So buckle up. It may not be 2 years, but 2 calendar years anyway. we waited long in between Kelvin and Disco, and now we're waiting very long for season 5 of Discovery. Yeah, I mean it is what it is. Jr. We kind of changed the laws of physics, but I'm just saying. And of course, they didn't or did they think about a strike even making it longer than the normal? I mean, normally it would be 10 months, 11 months a year. Anyway, it's just the fact that the strike is adding on even more. May, June, July, August. We've already lost 4 more months. Unless the timeline is compressed, we've already added 4 months onto whatever the original debut time was going to be. Well, this is true of many folks, Narda. Now, it's probably fewer and fewer every year. You might cringe, but you always give it a chance. And mostly you smile. Okay. That's right. That's right. What, the people, you heard this a lot at Discovery's premiere. If it really was too much for you, people would say, well, you know what? You've got 7 times, you've got 21, 25, 28 seasons of 20-something episodes, plus the animateds and the movies. You've got all of that. That's more than enough to keep people on constant daily binge repeat and be happy. And that's totally fine. But if you ever want to get that out of a stasis box, if you ever want to de-stagnate the franchise, the same way that TNG de-stagnated the franchise after 20 years. We lump it all together now, but it was a huge thing. And that's what alienated fans in 1987. People did not want to see not Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. How can you call it Star Trek if it's not Kirk, Spock, and McCoy? It was about the characters then, not the concept of it being a universe was not a thing. We didn't even have terms. We didn't talk about franchises and world building and everything. Well, we were talking about franchises by then, but that came out with Wrath of Khan. I remember the quote in TV Guide calling Star Trek the family jewels of Paramount. Yes, yes, yes. Interesting take, Dave. Any other series you would balk at the cliffhanger? But being Strange New, you trust them and you can wait. You can wait with it. You can wait with it. I can live with it. Very true. Very true. Which is why I said in second opinion, I'll see your 3 months and raise you 18. Yeah. Okay, another vote for cliffhangers. All right, John X. Well, you got one, whether you want to vote for it or not. Well, this is it, Mel. You know what, guys, gals, peeps? I may be figuring out the long overdue newsletter I have not sent in ages. A question for a poll there. Let's see. Oh, Rose, does anyone have a sense of dread about it? It depends on the strike. Section 31, hopefully we would get it early next year, the movie. Strange New would have been, in any case, a year from now, or 10 months from now, but now it'll be a little delayed. Well, Stephen, see, you're still in that optimistic place. I've wanted to put this whole thing away and just move on. The non-canon stuff like the Eagle Moss ship books, the current comics, and even some of the recent novels all mention a post-season. I know. And people would think that's totally counterintuitive. But the reason, especially when Star Wars came out and everything was hyper detailed, and you'd look at the simpleness of simple props, simple costumes, simple ship surfaces, simple interfaces for controls. And the whole point the retcon idea was that it was so powerful they could make them that simple. The corridor walls could be that smooth because there was so much just underneath them. They didn't have to have everything hanging off the walls. Like they come in and customized everything. It was hanging off the frame. And maybe that's the design aesthetic that takes over, and we can get to that. I would so love to see the final shot of Strange. You can give the keys to Kirk. I want to see simple, clean, simplified lines. They won't have to worry about getting a camera crane in there. So, okay, we'll see. We're going to have to wait 3 or 4 years, 5 years maybe, but we'll see, depending on how long the show goes. We will see. We can't send Kathleen to Larry over the sea. Yeah, sorry, I got into a little bit of a snoozer there for just a second. Thank you, Christoph, for worrying about me. They didn't see the conscience of the king. The play's the thing. Well, this is true, John, but like I said, they've got a lot of ground to cover. We will see. We'll see what they say today. There may be something out by the time we get off. Yeah, if there was a lot of severe battle damage at the end, could be. Could be. Really. Some disliking the courtroom episode, some think it's lame compared to court martials and dramas. I did too. I thought it was a wonderful legals, just the solution to the plot, how they were going to get out of that and to have her turn it, which is what you would have to do. You'd have to come up with some radical new way of looking at something that everybody thought was settled law, as long as the radical new way didn't take away rights. We've had some radical new ways of looking at law in this country recently that I'm not cheering them just because they're radical new. It was perfectly settled law that didn't need a radical new take. Well, look at this. Speaking of radical takes, John X, season 2 Strange over Picard season 3. Well. This is me reprinting John Cahn's statement over here. Okay. Melanie, you were puzzled by the K-pop Klingons, but the anomaly duplicated Earth musicals. Right. So if Klingons met the anomaly first and played Klingon, well, this is the thing. So the Klingons got run through a human music meat grinder, which was even more painful for them. They had no cultural tie, which is why Bruce Horak, or that Klingon captain, grimaced right before he started. Let's see here. Okay, Glenn, you're getting back to work. And yes, a shout out for everybody in Birmingham. Have fun, Rose. Christoph, you'll be there. Rebecca's there. Yay. Good deal. Hey, Steve. I forget you're in the UK, Steve, so thanks for the poke. Had a year-long wait between Best of Both Worlds, because when TNG was shown on the BBC, 1 to 3 were shown daily. Oh, and they hadn't contractually contracted season 4 yet. Oh my gosh. Did they hint at Gary 7 in Strange New Worlds? I don't think so, Glenn. Did anybody see a supervisor hint in Strange New? Hey, Dominic, I know you've been with us before, your first time. You get bummed on silly things like right now the Paramount menu page has pics of all the Treks except for Prodigy and TOS. TOS is not on the Paramount Plus homepage. That's interesting. We'll see. Are you in the US or are you in another country? That might have something to do with it. Oh, there you go. The VTC main viewer is on an hour and a half. Let's see. Yes, the 2 Spocks together. Very cool. Very cool. And the 2 Kirk brothers with the original 2 Kirk brothers. Yes. Did you hear me call them the Kirk Smothers Brothers on Second Opinion? Yeah. Spock is the most recast. Well, that's because there were all the younger people playing Spock regurgitating in Spock 3 in Star Trek 3. That's the main reason, Sean. We've really had 3 Spocks. I mean, Nimoy and then Zach and now Ethan. But sure, the purists and the completists would have all the Spock from Strange and of course the voice from yesteryear. The chalice with the Alice has the brew that is true. Absolutely. Well, this is true, Narda, and it's become doubled down the more we've backfilled Discovery and Strange New Worlds. What now? Of Cadet Alice does not appreciate the Alice chalice. Oh, if she doesn't, please tell her there's no malice. It's a good vessel. Won't give you a callus. I'll make sure and do that, Sean. Very good. Oh, see, now we've got a difference of opinion here going. Not crazy about season 2, needs to tighten up, more hits than misses. More misses than hits. Well, all right, boys, settle down, calm down, no fighting. Well, see, Narda, you and I were alike. I thought, come on, it's Gene's show. Give it a break. What's wrong here? Oh, Maria, that's okay. Don't worry about being late. We'll see you later. We just missed our Brazilian representative here. You're representing a whole continent, Maria. I have my 1, 2, 3, 4 continents, folks. We just don't have anybody from Antarctica or Asia, I think. North, South America, Australia, Europe, or Africa. I don't think we have anybody from Africa or ever have. Yeah, those VHSs on super low play. Well, I always did long play, so you only had 2 to a tape, so you had better quality. Absolutely, Melody. Love and prayers for Maui. In fact, I think today, aside from that, I think today is Bijo Trimble's birthday. I should have said up front. So, yes, happy birthday, Bijo. Well, this is true. An original look refit Constitution, original Constitution class ship is in the Fleet Museum. We know this. It transcends the rivalry between Toronto and LA and who's running the show. So we can hope. Hey, I'm all for it. I would love not to have to settle for that. Love not to have to settle for that, but we will see. Well, Rob, the Metron introduced himself to Kirk. So unless it's some other case, unless it's a Borg or a Ferengi Enterprise situation where someone forgets to write their name down in the logs, I hope not. I hope we don't have Metrons and Gorns and all that together. I mean, I hope not. Let's see here. Well, now a weird thing happened in '93 when the BBC was on TNG season 4. Sky started showing season 6, and DS9 started. So some weeks you had 3 new episodes to watch. You caught Sky. Oh, yeah, it's just that's just math. Tommy Smothers says Napa makes auto parts, Sonoma makes wine. Good line. That's a good line. Let's see. Now what? Dominic, tied for best episode of the season. You stop using the word lame, even though you seriously grew up with it, because using a term associated with injured disability journalists. That's fair. That could be. Obrigado. Yes. Hello to Maria. Okay. Well, apparently we have a difference of opinion, gang. So everybody just put your mugs down and take a seat back at the bar. Glenn, I am not going to share this. I will not share this no matter what you do to me. I will not share this with anyone. That's horrible. Well, Duralta, you might want to look them up, not just for entertainment, but also for politics. Just saying. Just saying. Yeah. Yep. Oh, Sean, Futurama question. I'll try. Would you remember the TOS crew was replaced with a new character for the episode, and what was the episode called? You must be talking about it's Dave Goodman's episode, the one where they worship Star Trek. Oh, they had Welchie for Scotty because they didn't want to have somebody mocking James Doohan. Yep, it was the last time D. Kelly voiced someone, I think, or else they didn't have him do anything. McCoy never spoke. Anyway, hey May, it's good to see you. Yes. Okay, analysis. Always good to have stuff. Hey, Chuck A. Boy, you guys are all coming in here at the tail end. Okay. Well, Duralta, I think you're easily amused, but sure, thank you. Thank you. John, you're saying Chekhov doing his cadet midshipman rotation. Yes. Absolutely. They play host to midshipmen who are excellent. Very good. Everybody, listen, thanks again for being here with me on a Tuesday. Again, sorry for my grindy voice. It comes and it goes. I'm really hoping to get a rest. My gosh, if I'd been coming to Birmingham this weekend, that might have been a bridge too far. Yikes. But no, we're there. We're there. Just a reminder again that come to LA. We'll have your own customized away mission for location sites. It's a Trekland Treks. I will help you carry off the day in fine fashion. Just let me know and we'll set it up. I'll also make sure that as little as possible surprises you. Traffic, closures, all that kind of thing, right? And one more shout out to all of our Patreon folk, our TTL Club, and our live wires. Boom. Thanks you all for so much. If you would like to join them in the Patreon, all you have to do is go to patreon.com/TreklandLive. It's $5, $10, very simple, with a little bit of perks there. Guys, and the $10, our live wires, I need to send you access to our Portal 47 interviews. We've got the great current graphics master who's been with modern Star Trek since before Brian left Discovery at the very beginning. Tim Peel knows where all these skeletons are buried, at least the graphic skeletons, and he knows something or a thing or two what he enjoys about Gene's entire philosophy for Star Trek, the way he was talking about it by the 70s. That is our subject, a college speech from the 70s, and the great Timothy Peel. Follow him on Twitter and Instagram, as I always say, Facebook too. Podcast.roddenberry.com and everywhere else is where you can get the Trek files this week, including the documents. I think we're done, gang. So stay cool out there, everybody, which is another way of saying stay well. I'm done with cons this year, until IndyCon, until Starbase Indy over the latter Thanksgiving holiday, not Thursday, but Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm looking forward to getting back to Indy for the first time in several years. I think everything else is calmed down, although we have a movie night coming to Will Rogers if you're in the LA area. Seriously, gang, thanks again for joining me today. Check out everything once again. Take out a Trekland Treks. Take a gander at that if you like. Jump into Portal 47. It is like a mini con all year long. If you had the post-con blues after Vegas, or wherever it is you go, Portal 47 is like a mini con all year long. I appreciate all of you all being here with me on Tuesday. I felt love again to our Patreons, to our Portales. I'll see tomorrow, a lot of them. Um, until next week, I'm working on having a guest again. But if there's someone you want to see, and I don't mean this Tuesday is great for people like authors, for for fan leaders. Like we had our Star Trek rapper. Some of the authors we've had on, as we crank out having more guests here on Tuesday, it's a perfect format for that. So I've got my eye on that. Otherwise, let me know what you'd like to see or hear or talk. What am I missing as we wait 2 more weeks, 3 more weeks for Lower Decks? But I'll see you next Tuesday. And till then, everybody, please do all the things. Check your sources, stay woke. And now, I just want to drink. Truck well, everybody. We will catch you later.